Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in. This is BigBeHereFoundation.com back here with another video, and today we are reviewing every NBA team's regular season. Now, I know the NBA finals haven't ended yet, but like I said, the regular season's over. We basically already know where everybody finished up in the playoffs, so this is the perfect time to do it. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys do like and subscribe here to the channel. We're on our way to 140 subscribers. Do appreciate everybody's support. Make sure you guys go join the Discord and join the NFL Fantasy. I do appreciate all that. Make sure you guys, if you guys want to join the NFL Fantasy, make sure you guys do hit the link in the description. We are using ESPN Fantasy, so make sure you guys go hit the button. Do that, all that stuff, and hit the link and hop in. We still have like 8 or 7 current spots available. So make sure you guys go do that right away because I put a draft time in there, and that will be the day before the regular season starts. So make sure you guys go join up before then, and I'll have it for the remainder of my videos until until the season starts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start it off. So starting off with this list, we're actually going to start from the bottom here. So the bottom shows you have the teams that actually had a terrible season. Uh, Above that, you have the teams that had a bad season. Below that, you have the teams that had a decent season. Above that, we have the teams that have a good season, and above that, you have the teams that had an incredible season. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start off with the Pacers. I thought the Pacers had an incredible season. I'll be completely honest with you guys. First of all, I didn't expect the Pacers to be good. Really, I didn't expect the Pacers to be good at all this year. Second of all, it's just a journey that they went to. Like they had Tyrese Halliburton, you got Pascal Siakam. Like you had a couple All Stars and you have a couple stars. Like I said, I didn't expect the Pacers to make the playoffs, and they did a really good job this year, man. In-season tournament, they made it to the finals and lost to the Lakers. That's still pretty good for a young team like this. Made it all the way down through the regular season. Made the playoffs as a 6th seed. Knocked off Milwaukee in the first round. Yeah, you knocked off Milwaukee. You beat New York in 7, and then you just lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. I know you lost in the sweep, but getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, especially as a team you are as a 6th seed, that's a pretty good achievement. If I'm being honest, I thought the Pacers were incredible this year. I think they did great. Next up, we got the Thunder. I also thought they had an incredible season. I'll be completely honest with you guys. Thunder, like I said, did anyone expect the Thunder to be the number 1 seed in the West going into this year? Like, I don't think anyone really expected that at all. Thunder, which is out incredible this year, getting a 1 seed. They had the best record in the Western Conference. Well, they really tied with Denver, but they had the tiebreaker over Denver. Um, OKC was just great this year. SGA was great. The whole team was great. Josh Giddey was great. Chet Holmgren was great. Lou Dort was great. Like that whole team, and especially for a young team, controlling the West like that and making the playoffs and getting. I know you lost in the second round, but to a more experienced team. But for you to be that young and for you to be in that position this young, just keep this core together and then wait till you find yourselves in the next couple of years. So you guys are going to be an NBA championship contender this next couple of years if you guys continue to build your core like this. Next up, we got the Bulls. I'm gonna say this was a. I'm gonna say this is actually. I don't know what to say about the Bulls. I think it just was just awkward season for them. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't make the playoffs. They're still dealing with the injuries. They deal with the injuries all season to Zach LaVine. Overall, I do think this was a pretty odd season for the Bulls, but I guess I'll throw it in the bad category because it just wasn't their favorable season. I mean, DeMar DeRozan was in the lineup. Zach LaVine was out of the lineup. Lonzo Ball was out for the lineup majority of your season. You guys really haven't never had a full chance to see your team fully healthy this year. So I will say this was a pretty odd season, but I will throw it in the bad category because that's basically what that really stands for. But I'm not going to say it was a terrible season because you guys didn't finish like the bottom of the East or bottom of the West or something like that. Next up, we got the Celtics. The Celtics had a good season. I'm not gonna say incredible because the Celtics are like built to do this. Like they have the team to do this, but I definitely will say it's a good season here for the Celtics. Dominated the NBA, had the best record in the Eastern Conference. Sprinted all the way down to the NBA Finals. Well, they might have had an easy road there, but they sprinted us in the NBA Finals, have a chance to win the NBA championship. Right now, they're up in the series right now against Dallas in the NBA Finals. Like this team definitely had a good season, and it's pretty obvious. I do think it was a good season for them. Next up, we got Denver. Denver, this was a good season for Denver. Don't estimate that the defending champs lost in the second round of the NBA playoffs because I believe the last 7 NBA champions have done that now. But yeah, just taking a look at Denver, they still had a good season. You still won 57 games, still tied for the top of the West. You know, you still dominated over the course of regular season. Have one of the best home records in the NBA. But it's just unfortunate that they just lost in 7 games of the Timberwolves in the conference semifinals. But don't worry, this Denver team will definitely be back, and I do think this was a pretty good, successful season for Denver. So I will definitely say Denver had a pretty good season. Next up for Atlanta, I don't really know what to really say about Atlanta because they're kind of like the Bulls. We never really got to see them in full strength this season, but but if you're asking me, I don't know. I mean, they did make the playing tournament. The Bulls did make the playing tournament too. This team finished 10 games under 500, so I guess I can say this was a pretty odd season for Atlanta because we never really got to see him. Trae Young didn't really perform his best this season, so it was okay season. I just thought it could have been better. Actually, I'm gonna change bad to okay. I'm okay. Okay, they probably should have done. Yeah, we're gonna change bad to okay. Next up, we got the Blazers. It was a terrible season. I mean, they had one of the worst records in the West. Probably, yeah. Matter of fact, they had the worst record in the West. Team didn't really perform that good. Even with Da, I was like, this team just couldn't really find too much success this year. Definitely was a terrible season for the Blazers. Next up for the Pelicans, not a bad season. Like they were off to a really good. I'm gonna say it was a decent season because dealing with Zion Williamson, this team still did find a really good way to make the playoffs and survive the play-in. Even though the Lakers beat them in the first round of the play-in, they still snuck into the playoffs, but got dominated by the Thunder in the first round. But it was a pretty good season. I do definitely think the Pelicans would have had a definitely a better season if Zion Williamson played for more games and Bi wasn't out for the last couple games of the season before he came back in the playoffs. But but yeah, season could have been better for the Pelicans, but overall I think this was a pretty decent season for them. Next up we got Dallas. Oh my God, Dallas had an incredible season. Dallas was nowhere near in the position that they were going into not like a couple weeks into the playoffs. They got all the way down to the 5 seed. They snuck their way in there, and now they're in the finals. They sprinted themselves to the finals, and they beat some really good opponents on their way there. Um, so yeah, definitely a very successful season for the Dallas Mavericks. I'm definitely excited. I hope Luka and Kyrie win. I hope Luka wins his first ring, man. I hope it happens. Right now they're down, but come on, let's keep praying for Dallas. I'm not done with them yet. Continue to your successful season, Dallas. I'll be rooting for you. Next up we got the Clippers. I mean, the Clippers did have a good season, but it's kind of like a flashback because we keep seeing the same thing over and over again in the playoffs. They keep choking and losing in the playoffs, but for the Clippers, but it's also kind of unlucky, because Kawhi Leonard's been out for the playoffs. You never really had your stars going into the playoffs, so definitely a weird positioning. But I definitely will say that it was overall was a pretty good season. I mean, what about you? You finished 20 games above 100. You to finish top four in the Western Conference, so yeah, definitely not as bad season for the Clippers there. Next up we got the Cavs. A lot of Cavs fans are probably saying that their season probably could have been a little bit better because the way how they were in a 2 seed like a couple weeks ago before the end of the season started. But I can't complain about the season. They had a good season as well. I mean, I can't complain about it. Playing against the Magic, you beat the Magic in the first round. You actually got farther in the playoffs than you did last year. You got eliminated some conference semifinals by Boston. I mean, it was a pretty good season. I mean, like you guys finished 14 games by 100. I mean, I can't. We got top four in the East. Like you can't complain about that. Next up, we got the Pistons. Yeah, another stressful season there for the Detroit Pistons. I thought the Pistons were actually going to be at least a tiny bit better than what they were this year. This team ended up only winning 14 games, which is still kind of embarrassing. But but yeah, let's take a look at it. The Pistons had, like I said, are a team that I want to see do really good, especially being bad for the last recent years. So we'll see what the Pistons have in store for next year. But this year, it was definitely a really bad season, really a forgettable season for them. Next up for the Hornets, you can basically say the same thing about the Pistons. The Hornets were just never good to deal with, and also this was actually really painful for the Hornets because since they didn't really have a mellow ball. throughout this entire season. I mean, they had some games, but not a lot. So definitely a really bad, terrible season for the Charlotte. But if they do get Mabella back, maybe we're talking about some game adjustments. But for right now, this definitely was a terrible season for the Hornets. Same thing we can say about Washington. Definitely a brutal season. Finishing next to last in the Eastern Conference. This team just really not really got together, and let's be honest, this team didn't really have enough star power to be dealing with like the rest of the teams in the East. Like this team just didn't really have enough. Other than so yeah, I definitely gotta say Washington was the this one. Next one we got the Warriors, and I'm gonna put them in the okay category, but I definitely will say this was a kind of uncharacteristic season for the Golden State Warriors because they made the play-in, but this team didn't make the playoffs. When's the last time we even seen the Warriors in the play? Like the Warriors did not even make the playoffs this season, and they had Steph, they had Clay this season. They had Draymond Green for the majority of the games. They had all the guys, but this team just never found it. This team just could not get over the hump, and that was actually pretty. This team finished 10th in the West. Like this, how did you really expect did you really expect the Warriors to finish 10th in the West? Like I like just it was okay season for the Warriors, but it was just a very uncharacteristic season for them. I mean that's just what it was. Actually no, but I'm gonna change this right now. I'm gonna change this to one thing. Could have been better. Could have been better. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna change this to that. Could have been a better season. Yeah, look at that. We'll call that. Could have been a better season. Next up we got the Sixers. Sixers, man, Sixers are actually hard to rank because they were off to a pretty dynamic start to the season, and then ever since then, injuries just started piling off to this team, and it really cost them because the Sixers they were like third in the East when they had like when Joel was balling, when Tyrese was balling, and all of a sudden, Joel Embiid gets injured for a significant time, and now they go sinking down in the division, and then Tyrese Maxey gets injured too, which even sunk him down even more. So I will say anyway, will say this definitely was a decent season for the Sixers, but it definitely could have been better if they would have had like Tyrese and Joel there the whole season. Next up, we have the Suns. Especially, I mean, there's really two ways to look at it. You can look at it like you made the playoffs and it was definitely a decent season, or you could look at it or the way I'm looking at it. Like you guys had all that star power and you guys only finished sixth in the Western Conference. Um, I'm gonna say decent, but it could have been better. Like you guys, like I don't think you even though you guys did finish like 16 games above 500, you guys probably should have made it better than the sixth seed in the West. Like I didn't expect you guys to be sixth. I expect you guys to be like third or second. But whatever. But it's the Phoenix Suns. You know this is what they do. I do definitely will say it's a decent season, but I think they could have done better. Next up with the Grizzlies. I mean, yes, okay. Let's be fair. Yes, this was a terrible season for the Grizzlies, but like I say, can you blame them for it? No, they were injured as shit this year. They were injured as shit. Jaren Jackson Jr. didn't really play. I mean, he played, but he didn't really play. John Morant was basically in suspension and couldn't really do anything. Couldn't really do anything this year. Desmond Bane was missing games. Like all their stars were really missing games. All their key guys on this team was really missing games. Wait till this team comes back next year. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the Grizzlies next year. I think the Grizzlies are still going to be the team that they were 2 years ago going into next season. Remember when they were two seed back to back years? That's when I'm kind of expecting the Memphis Grizzlies to be that kind of a team next year, especially with Ja and them coming back. They should be all right. So I'm not panicking if you're the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm not panicking at all. Like I said, this might have been a character season, might have been an unfortunate season, but they're going to come back stronger next year. I can tell you that right now. Next up we got Houston, and I'm actually gonna say this was actually a pretty decent year for the Houston because not only did Houston not make the playoffs, this team actually had a really good push at the end of the season that I actually think that made their season actually pretty well. Like this team was like 14th in the Western Conference, and then they had like a 20, like I think it was like a 18 or 20 game winning streak, and they almost made the playoffs. I mean, they almost made the play-in tournament by making that push, and they almost chased down the Warriors, which actually was really special too. But Rockets, this is definitely not a bad season. I will definitely you guys barely missed out of the playoffs. Your team is still young, which is still really good. Your team has a lot to look forward to next season, and I can't wait to watch you guys next season. I think you guys are really going to improve off of this momentum shifter from this year. So keep working, Rockets. I'll be watching you. Next up for the Timberwolves, I'm gonna say there was a great season for the Timberwolves. I'll be honest, they made the playoffs. They got limit. They went all the way down to the conference finals and then lost to the Mavs. But especially for a team that's been like a lower seed these last couple years, this team got the 3 seed, only finished like a couple games. I think it was one game behind Denver and OKC, even though they probably shouldn't have won the division because this team was like number one in the Western Conference for a very long time in the season. This team was dominating and was fantastic. Cat was fantastic. Your role player fantastic. Naz Reid was fantastic. Like, definitely a very good, talented season for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And like I said, I can't wait to watch them next year too because I want to see what they got in store for next season. Next we got the Magic. It was a decent season for the Magic. I think it definitely could have been better though, but I can't complain about the Magic. This team didn't finish fifth in the East. They did make the playoffs. Actually, I'm gonna say a good season here for the Magic because they did make the playoffs. They did make another step forward from last season. I still see the progress. I see the progress going on for Orlando. I do think this is something that they should be able to take advantage or take care of going on for the next couple of seasons. So I do really like the Magic. I do really like what they've done this year, and I'm really looking forward to what they do next year. Next up we got the Knicks. I think this was a great season for the Knicks. They finished second in the Eastern Conference, got eliminated in the conference semifinals, which was kind of unexpected. But Jalen Brunson had an incredible year. Your team had an incredible year. Your team did definitely a really great job of winning games without Julius Randle. That was pretty impressive in my opinion. This Knicks team always played with heart. They always played for fashion. They always went out swinging instead of looking. If you guys know what I mean. Like this team was fantastic this year, and every Knicks fan should appreciate what this team has done this year, and hopefully that this team comes back stronger next year. I really want to see the Knicks do good next year. Next up for the Lakers, I'm gonna say this was a decent season because we did win the in-season tournament. On the way back and in the beginning of the season, that was very special. Winning the in-season tournament. But ever since then, I thought the Lakers like since that moment from the in-season tournament, I thought the Lakers really like take it up to the next level. Like I thought we are gonna be like a championship level team, and that's kind of what I expected for the Lakers going into this year. Instead we got the 7th seed again. We made the play-in and we got eliminated in the first round. Definitely was kind of I was not expecting that from these Los Angeles Lakers. There was not a bad season, but I thought it could have been a little bit better because after the in-season tournament win, we should have kept more motivation there. I understand, but you're gonna come out flat because you're not gonna come out fire after that. But the Lakers were actually in a really good position then because I think we had like the 4th seed in that position. But otherwise, I just think it was a decent season. We made the playoffs. We did all we could, but having LeBron and AD available majority of those games, you would think this team would have done better. So definitely a decent season for us, but it could have been a lot better. Next up for the Bucks, I'm gonna say this season actually could have been better for the Bucks. Actually, no, I'm gonna say decent. I'm gonna say decent season, but it definitely could have been a lot better. I don't think Damian Lillard will perform as good as you guys were expecting him to perform. I don't think Damian Lillard didn't really have his best performance this season. Giannis was great though. He did with the injury, so that's where you guys basically lost in the first round because Giannis was basically injured. That's unfortunate for you guys. But I definitely will say it was a decent season for you guys. Look, Milwaukee, they finished third in the East again. This team was like one of the best teams in the league at home. They dominated over the course of the regular season at home. So yeah, this team is still really good to come. And I don't know why, but I have a feeling that Milwaukee's gonna like split up after next season if they don't win the championship. I hope they don't do that because Milwaukee is still really good right now. So hopefully they don't do that because I don't want to see the Bucks be a bad team. I always want to see the Bucks be a good team. But overall, the season definitely could have been a lot better for the Bucks. But I definitely will say it definitely was a decent season for Milwaukee. Next up for Utah, definitely could have been better. I did expect definitely could have been better. You guys were like top of the playoffs, like going into the start of the season. You guys were actually doing really good at one point in the season. I think you guys were actually leading the West at one point at the start of the year, and then you guys just melted down. Probably because you guys didn't really have Tyrese Halliburton, which is actually, I mean, not Tyrese Halliburton, Lloyd Markkinen, which was really unfortunate. But Utah just kind of was an uncharacteristic season, to be honest. And believe what I say is like, if you guys had all your players, you guys probably would have had Probably would have had a better season. So definitely would say it was an uncharacteristic season. So definitely could have been better for you guys. Next up, we got Toronto. Definitely could have been better. I didn't really expect Toronto to really be this bad. Going into this year, I mean, if actually no, this year is actually pretty bad for Toronto. Let's be pretty honest. This team almost finished 20 games under 500. This team wasn't really that good to start with. Like Saudi Barnes are pretty good, but besides that, I don't think they really had enough talent to stick around with all out of these good teams. So yeah, definitely. I don't. I'm not. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna say a terrible season for Toronto, but yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that they can take better from this next season. Nets definitely could have been better. Even though Mikal Bridges did play all the games, you guys probably could have used more of your talent. And this season just kind of went a lot different direction with Brooklyn. You know, if they like, I expect this team to be like a 500 team, which it kind of. I mean, they were close. Not really. They were 32-50. Well, but I thought this team was like capable of winning and beating against good, solid teams. Some upsetting some good teams, but the season just could have been better for them. Next up, the Kings. The Kings still had a good. The Kings still had a good, decent season. De'Aaron Fox was outstanding. Sabonis was a dog. Your offense was absolutely dynamic this year. And I know you guys didn't make the playoffs, which is actually kind of surprising coming off of last year. But this team is still looking really good. And I'm being honest. They still have one of the best offenses in the league. If you guys do keep that, I am definitely going to be interested to see what you guys are going to be up to next season. So definitely a decent season for the Kings. Definitely, like I said, could have been better. Definitely could have made the playoffs. Definitely could have been probably a low seeded threat in the playoffs, but definitely a decent season. Next up for the Heat, I'm gonna say decent season too. This team probably should have been at least higher than what we're from right now, but this team did make the in-season tournament. I expect them to make the playoffs without participating in the play-in, but you do what you have to do. Miami, not the best season that they could ask for because he's been so successful in recent years, but I would go decent. I'll go decent for sure. All right, and the last team we got the Spurs. Actually, besides Wimby actually had a pretty good, decent year, but besides that, the team just really never really got together that much. So I'm gonna say this was a terrible year for the Spurs, but things could definitely be a lot better for the Spurs these next coming years. Don't get me like Wemby is going to be there. Wemby's going to be dominant. But the question is, can the rest of the team follow him? I don't know. We'll find out what to do next year. But this season just was not the season for San Antonio. All right, guys, and that is going to do it for me reviewing every NBA team's season this year. So if you guys haven't already, make sure to do like and subscribe here to the channel. Anyway, I'm gonna hop off, get everything edited so you guys can watch it on time. I'm gonna have this by Thursday, so I have a video on Wednesday and Thursday. Anyway, like I said, I do appreciate everybody's support. Peace out, stay safe, see you next time.